and welcome back to another episode of Confidence and Creativity. I'm your host, Samantha McCoy, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Qwishuna Smith, better known as Shuna. She was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, and her attention to detail through brand identity, design, art, and production brings a unique perspective to business and culture. Shuna is the founder, artist, and designer behind Lobe Dangle, an haute couture leather accessory collection that embodies edgy and classic styles. It is wearable art for the lady who loves to make a bold fashion statement with one of a kind pieces and has been featured on local and national media outlets, local galleries, festivals, and more. Shauna has an amazing background, which includes graphic design, industrial sewing, and metal fabrications at the Baltimore Jewelry Center. In 2019, she was selected as an official Made in Baltimore maker. This year, Shauna was appointed as president of the DMV chapter of the WJA, Women's Jewelry Association. She is also, on top of all these amazing accomplishments, she is co founder of Creative Development Studios, a major vehicle through which she creates brand designs that have garnered clients over $1 million of sales inquiries, and the company she began alongside her husband 15 years ago. So she is a professional designer and a professional jewelry maker. How many of those do you know? So I am so excited about this conversation. So all of these experiences that Shauna has had combined with her innate creativity have helped to develop her into the multifaceted designer, business owner, and industry leader that she is today. So Kashana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Samantha. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, this is so great. And your bio, I only had a portion of it because you have done so many more things in your career. So can you just let us know, how did you even get started? What was your journey like to go into both jewelry design and graphic design? Like, which one came first? How did that journey begin?
Sure. Well, it's such an interesting story. Graphic design certainly came first. It came really out of a need. We had at that time, I think our company was called Jing Along Marketing. So we were doing jingles for radio and television. And what we had found was that a lot of the clients that we were sitting down with, they, as much as they wanted the jingle and they were on radio, they really didn't have the ad spend or the budget to really invest in audio branding. But they also, too, lacked some of the essential marketing pieces like a business card or a really nice logo. And so after sitting down with these clients, my husband was like, listen, I think we should get a program and you should start designing. We should start expanding these packages, these offerings. You know how it is. It's like, you stick with one thing for a while. And then after a while, you're like, you know what, I need a little bit more to offer people. And that's really um, how it started. It just started really out of seeing the need of clients and knowing that this was a lower entry point and it was an absolute necessity. It was so interesting because I had like a couple of trainings, a couple of classes with a few people that I knew. They brought this was so long ago. They brought the computers over to the house and they gave me a couple of lessons, and it was all she wrote. I think I had the gift of I always had the gift of creativity. So for me, it was all about making sure I asked the right questions to make sure that the printed material came out correctly. So it wasn't so much about, how do I design this per se, but how do I lay it out in a way where when it prints, it looks absolutely professional and amazing. And so that was the design portion and how it came about.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're self-taught.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to say I'm not because I had one lesson. I had one lesson in like Photoshop, and I had one lesson in design when we were first, in design when we were laying out books early on. So yeah, I am self-taught, and I've of course did some trainings and things online over the years, but it just kind of came naturally to me. We bought a logo. I think when we first started, we bought like a logo maker program, and I never used it because I was like, I don't know how to use this thing, but I just started making logos from scratch, and it's been a fun journey so far to see how many people we've helped, with just an idea, at one point. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. What an exciting story. So as far as your jewelry background, how did that like how did you pivot from one to the other? Did it kind of go together? How did that come about?
Yeah, so jewelry, it never was a pivot. I think that, of course, you're young and you know that you're creative. And so, again, it starts with the graphics. And then eventually I started really getting inspired. I started seeing like ideas, just, with my eyes open, like ideas like coming to me. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I'm seeing leather earrings. And I was not doing anything physically creative with my hands outside of the computer work. I've always painted, I've drawn, doodled, sketch. I've done little things over the years, but I never really saw myself as a full on creative. And so it wasn't a pivot, it was an addition. It was like, hey, I'm doing that and I'm going to do this. And I mean, those early years, wow, those early years, I just would stay up all night long making earrings, and it was just like no rules. And of course, as you learn and you grow, and it's like, okay, I want to perfect this and do this a little bit different. I need to make some templates and put some order and some structure into it. But no, we never let go of the original companies. We've just grown to just add on new companies, and yeah, that's where we're at.
Wow, that's amazing. And your husband, he is a musician, fashion designer as well, right? So you are just a creative, a whole creative family.
Yeah, it's so fun to see how, again, he's always been creative. I think he was born, I mean, he has such a gift of music. Literally, we can be in the quietest restaurant and he'll start tapping. I'm like, what are you tapping to? He can hear the music on that no one pays attention to. Like, he's so tuned into music. And so, being with someone who's been that gifted for a long time and seeing some of your gifts kind of lying dormant and not really knowing it was in me to be gifted in a very similar way, but just visually, his is audio, but mine is more visual with my hands. It's just interesting now how we collaborate together, how we talk. We talk the language of creativity, and we talk in color, and we see in color. It's so different, and it's really fun. But again, at one point, it was just him, me seeing him evolve and do all these creative things and just being that support behind him. But to now kind of have something as well that has blossomed of my own creativity, and to see how he supports me and how we support each other is really amazing. But it didn't start that way. It didn't. He did a lot of pushing. I will say that he pushed me a lot.
Wow, that's amazing. So what do you think drew you to the just creative expression through your visual? Because I guess when I'm trying to see a correlation between the design, like the graphic design, and then also the jewelry design. So what do you think excites you about creating in that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question. It's a good question. It's just kind of hard because, I mean, I am a seer, so some people are more, they're more tuned into words. Their gift is audio, I am a visual person. I've always been very inclined and interested in details. I've always cared about details. Even when I first started out, and even now when I'm designing, sometimes I'll zoom my screen into like 1,000%. Like, I want to see the part that no one's really looking at, because that's what I'm attracted to. I've always been attracted to. I mean, as a little girl, I used to stare at people, I just like, your mom like, stop staring. It's like, I'm just watching, like I'm watching for every little thing. Thank God I grew out of that, because that's not good now, just walk around staring at people. But it's like, I've always like watched every single detail. And so the details of graphic design, and needing to line things up specifically, needing to make sure that things are within a hair of a fraction is so important. And then that correlates over as well when you're doing design work. It's like you can see the flaws. If you're someone who pays attention to details, you also equally can see the flaws. And so then hopefully you'll know how to correct them and to clean it up. And so I've always been that person. If you were around me, you had a black shirt, my eyes goes to all your lint on your shirt. It's like, I don't want to look at it, but it just happens, like I don't really want to look in the corners because I know it's a whole bunch of stuff in most corners, so it's like that's just me, and it's something that I really can't turn off. And so I see it filtering through other areas of my life, specifically design.
Yes, yeah, no, that's excellent. That's excellent. So, for those of you who may not know, what I am wearing today, I really didn't plan this. It just happened to coincide with today's episode. So, I am wearing some vintage, what I'm calling them vintage
They are
Lobe's.
vintage. Yes, they are definitely vintage.
Because you cannot get these anymore.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so I definitely love Lobe's designs. They are just so beautiful and so
Thank you.
unique. So can you just walk us through a little bit of that process? I think you have some earrings with you. So if you just
Sure.
whatever you want to share about your process, about what it involves, because some people, it's one thing to see something and see the finished product, but I think for people who to really appreciate what you do even more, I think it's really helpful for the people to understand the process. And then there might be even people who are interested in getting into jewelry design. So if whatever you would like to share about your process, I think that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. So the process is, when I first started, I really didn't know how to even think about what the process was. You just pick up stuff and you start moving. I mean, I literally was gifted a basket full of brand new leather by communicating my vision of saying, I think that one day I'm going to create leather
Wow.
accessories. And so I was gifted that. So that's a whole nother story. But in terms of my process, again, when I first started, I really didn't document it. It literally was just everything was just so organic and innate. And I just started making, like, you think about those earrings there, you have, I think I made maybe 3 pairs. That was just because of a small demand that was there at the time. One of my girlfriends really, wanted me to mix like the black and the browns. Those are actually dark gray and browns. And I was like, I don't want to really mix the black and the browns. I remember that. And then, just making a few more of them. But again, didn't really have anything documented. Now my process is a little bit different. It still starts again with inspiration because it's really hard to create without some level of inspiration. And I've tried it before, and it's the way to mess up a lot of great materials when you don't know where you're going or, what your final destination is or any level of a vision or roadmap. So now it starts with some level of inspiration. Typically, what I do is I do draw out a design. Even if it's just a quick sketch, just to kind of get an idea, what's the shape, what's the feel, what's the movement, is it open, does it flow? It starts with picking out as again, findings. So findings is really important for me. So my designs, if you look online, you'll see that it's very different than some of the other leather jewelry out there because I do like to mix really cool hardware with the leather. It's very similar to like a really nice leather jacket. Like, you have a nice leather jacket, what sets it off? The buttons, the clasp, the hoops, the loops, it's like all of that makes it a tough leather jacket. And so I feel the same way with leather earrings. Like leather in and of itself is beautiful material, but if you put it with some really nice findings, that's what takes it over the top for me. So having an inspiration in terms of maybe an era, maybe it's a vintage piece or something like that, that sparks some inspiration. I draw it out. Then from there, I get my scissors and I start cutting, and I'm putting it together. It's and then also too trying to make a template in a way where now I know better to not just make one piece. I had to document the whole process because then when I make the one piece and if it comes out amazing, I need to be able to duplicate that rather rapidly. And so that's kind of part of the process. I try not to look at a lot of other designs in terms of inspiration. I don't necessarily like go and say, oh, let me look at other leather earrings. And then I start literally, I just kind of let the leather tell me and show me in some kind of way, like what it could be. And so it's matching leathers up together, it's putting the hardware side by side and trying to understand what can I do that's interesting. And then sometimes you start a design and you can't finish it because you don't know the finishing point. So it's just a start. And then you come back and it could be months later. I literally have a basket full of unfinished designs that I finished them in other interesting times when it's like, oh, okay, I don't really necessarily want to start from scratch. I can pick those pieces up and then finish them at a time where the inspiration is fresh again and I
Oh
get a
wow.
different direction than I had the first time.
Wow. So that's interesting. So how do you balance kind of that, inspiration or, kind of those waves of inspiration with the demand for products? So how do you like do you just release certain ones at certain times or how does that work?
Honestly, the way I can see how it has happened is when inspiration comes, it stays for a very long time, and I'm able to pump out maybe 9 or 10 or 20 new designs. And again, that may not be finishing them, but at least that may be the start of the initial concept and the design where I can get the template going. And then from there, it's just a matter of creating them. And I try to at least do 4 of each design three
Okay.
or four. That's kind of like my minimum. I try not to make 20, 25 of each because you really don't know. And as a designer, we get bored. So it's like, I don't want to make 20 or 30 of each one. And again, I do have some pieces that are a little bit more entry level that like my hoops. Like I love my hoops. I make a whole bunch of hoops because hoops are a classic piece and everyone wants a hoop. And it's a design I actually don't mind duplicating. But when you get into some of the other ones that are very intricate, after three and four, you are done because it's so complicated to even
Yeah.
make it. And so that's kind of how I balance the inspiration. When I'm there, I try to stay there for as long as possible because I know I can't necessarily do that every single day,
Right.
depending upon what my day is. So when it comes, I'm like, let me run, let me stay in this zone, and then I'll come back to it to finish it up. So that's kind of how it starts and ends with me.
Got it. Got it. Well, I
Yeah.
know you have some pieces with you. Could you show us a
Yeah,
few of those?
sure. So I just made these the other day. They're still hoops, just a different color, a cobalt blue
Oh,
hoop,
that's pretty.
blue and silver, and I have some other really cool metal designs as well. So these are the gold ones, and I have these in gold, silver, and copper leather. So they really resemble metal. Those are pretty popular. Here's a one of a kind piece. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. So
Oh, yeah, that's pretty.
that's like a blue stone, silver, and it's like green alligator leather on a quartz. So you see that on the back, it's green alligator. And so these are one of a kind. These are a little bit more smaller. These are about 1.5 inches. So I make small and large. Here's another cool design, reminiscent of something like really cool and vintage. Just
Nice. That's beautiful.
so those are some new ones there. These are some classic ones. I've been making this design for a while. And these are called Sheba. I'm gonna try to get the little piece to cooperate so you can see it the right way. Let's get you down here. Okay, let me get the other one, maybe to cooperate on the little. Okay, there we go. So those are Shebas,
Ooh.
black and brown, crocodile, and the back is all brown. And see if you can notice, it's the hardware, it's the chain. So it's a nice stainless steel chain. They're very lightweight. All of the earrings are very lightweight. That's very important. When I first started, I didn't know the benefit of making it lightweight. I had super heavy leather. At times it was like, wait a minute, this design is nice, but my earlobe was about to go off. So now that's very important. I'll show you another one that kind of speaks to hardware and why this is important for me. And you'll probably remember this type of hardware. You used to see them on like coats and all. It's like a bamboo. So if you see that, that's a black crocodile feel, but you
Oh,
see it's a bamboo at
nice.
the top. Very classic, very clean. You can see that with like a St. John suit. I mean, you can dress this up, dress this down. It's just classic. Like that hardware though, again, it sets it off. So very nice, classic. Here's a cuff. It's called Moscow, from the Moscow collection. It's actually fur and gold.
Ooh.
So the cuff is adjustable. It's adjustable brass in the inside. And it's very pretty. It actually has a necklace that goes with it as well. So that's on the website. Very pretty. And this is rabbit on there as well. So I like mixing
Wow.
fur, metals,
Okay.
vintage pieces. I just, you like what you like. And I'm like, you know what, let's just break the boundaries and let's do something fun and flirty. I love the fact that fall and winter is coming because, leather just, I mean, of course, you wear leather whenever you want to. Everyone wears leather shoes all year round. You can totally wear leather accessories all year round. But for the fall, the earrings, the bigger necklace pieces, it really makes a lot more sense to put a beautiful collar on that's leather. So I'm super excited about the seasons changing here, at least locally, where I could, put some other things out there as well.
Yes, no, that's exciting. I am not a fan of cold weather, but the fashion is great.
Yes.
So,
For fashion, honey, my summer collection be like, I could throw it away every summer. I
right.
wouldn't care, but I'm not throwing away my fall, my winter stuff. It's like, this stuff is classic and I'm
Yes.
keeping it. Yeah,
Yes.
those are investment pieces for the fall and winter because, you can't be out here nothing thin and flimsy. You got to really
Exactly.
have it together for the fall and winter. So totally.
Exactly, exactly. No, that's awesome. So if you are listening to this episode, you definitely want to watch the YouTube channel so you can actually see
Yes.
the pieces that Shauna has because they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
Thank you,
So
Samantha.
yeah, so let's talk about your just kind of your inward journey because I know that the whole process of business ownership, creativity, inspiration, all of that, and even doing your own thing that you haven't seen before and hasn't been seen before, that takes a lot of mental strength, right? It takes a lot of
Yeah.
mental strength, it takes a lot of confidence. So what has that journey been like for you? How have you would you describe yourself as a confident person? And if not, what has helped you to grow that confidence?
I would describe myself as a pretty confident person. I think that the mental process for me is the fact, I think a lot of times it's like I've been enjoying the journey and I never rushed the journey. And I think that that helps you to develop confidence as well. Like for one, I'm still a supportive wife of another creative. So I knew what that looked like. I didn't run into this particular journey with false preconceived notions of what it would be like. I had a confidence as to knowing how to develop a brand for someone else. So that helped me to develop my own. And also, too, to be patient with the journey and the process and just to put your best foot forward. I mean, when you put your best foot forward, why would you not be confident? It's like that, I mean, all we can do is the best we can do. And
Yeah.
so, I think that I've seen it from the sidelines, and I lived it because again, I live I'm one with another creative, so I know what that looks like, and that helps me to balance inner confidence, patience, time, understanding that you may even be pioneering something and what that looks like to really trudge ahead and to give yourself a lot of grace, but also to hold your head up high and just say, hey, I'm here in whatever capacity I can be here in this moment. I'm the best that I am going to be in this moment. So I have nothing to be afraid of,
Yes.
nor do I have anything to be anxious about. Sometimes people will try to rush you on your journey. And I think that that helps you to lack confidence in a lot of ways because you can't be ready for something else that someone else is ready for until you're ready. I always say people are ready when they're ready. People are
Good.
tired when they're tired, like no one could be ready for you. You have to be ready for yourself. And so for me, I'm very aware of what I feel like God's timing is for my life and what He is allowing me to walk out and what season I'm in.
Yeah.
Like just being conscious enough to say, no, that's not the season. This is not the season for me to take all my inventory and try to send it to celebrities. I have no interest in that. I don't care if 20 people come and tell me that. I know in my heart that that's not where I'm at, and I think that that inner peace is really important. And, that comes from me, from my relationship with the Lord and knowing that He leads me and He's been leading me in this process. He is the reason I am doing what I'm doing. So, He gave me creativity. It's a gift. So, I always say you can teach people style, but you can't teach them creativity.
Mm.
You can't teach people how to be creative. Like creativity is like a thing. Like you can show someone how to be creative one time. And then if they don't catch it, they don't catch it. Like you can't constantly say, and now this is how you be creative today and tomorrow. It's like either you're creative or you're not, either you're gifted in a certain thing or you're not, not saying that things can't develop, but gifts are there. And so I know that the gift came from Him. And so I'm not in any rush to make it to my ultimate destination. I know I'll get there in due time. And so I'm enjoying the journey.
Yes. No, that's excellent. So how would you say you define success at this point?
For me, success is living truthfully, being living truthfully and being off. People say that we're authentic all the time, but I mean, it's so real. Like, I mean, being successful is saying, listen, I have done exactly what I felt like I should have done up until this point. At every stage and every journey, when people read people's bios, like, when you read my bio, it's like, I had to go back and read it, but it's like at every stage, those were just the things I was supposed to do. So if I was supposed to do it and I did it, then I was successful. Mission complete. You move on, and then it's like it's all history. And then eventually, God willing, I'll live to be a lot older. I'll have way more accomplishments and way more successes. And so it's like success is every single thing I do in obedience.
Yeah.
That's it. If I do it and I was obedient what I did, hey, I'm successful. I don't measure it in terms of I mean, and there's a lot of measurements for success. I mean,
Hmm.
if you specifically said, hey, are you financially successful? If I had a goal in mind, I could measure that. But just success overall, I think it has to do for me just being obedient, and not an obedient as a slave master, taskmaster way of someone's making me do something, but I feel like I'm in stepping in line with what I'm supposed to do in this season for what God has called me to do. I'm
Yeah.
successful. That's it.
So, with any, as far as people who are looking to use their creative gifts in new ways and step into new industries, what would be your advice for them to get started or to know which way to go?
Yeah, that's kind of complicated. I would say that, you have to think about what you already naturally have a bent towards, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, again, I talk about like words. Okay, if you're amazing with words, that makes sense. Then it's like, okay, well, what are the industries? And I mean, just the simple things. What are the industries that my gift of words or my creativity in the area of words? And then now let me research those industries. Which ones spark something in me? Which ones say, you know what, I could see myself doing that. And then just kind of going down that path a little longer to make sure that it still feels right. Even if it doesn't necessarily feel 100% right, could you see yourself growing into that space? And and pursuing it. I do believe that with each thing that we do, even if we do it and we don't like it necessarily, it leads us to the next thing. And so I think that a lot of creatives, we get stuck with where to start, and it's like, just
Mm,
start. You just start, and then you know the life will direct you into the right path. If
yeah.
you're on the right path, you'll get closer and closer to the ultimate thing that's like, wow, now here's a sweet spot. But a start is a start, like we don't have to start where we finish. So I think that you just find something you can start with and then be passionate to pursue the growth of it, and not just the entry level of it. That's it.
No,
I
that's
mean,
good. I think that I really like what you said about that, about being passionate to pursue the growth, because I think sometimes it's that is where sometimes even the frustration can come in,
mm,
because you get started, you're really excited, but then it's those little details and nuances and things that you learn along the way, and you have to continue to persevere and get better and perfect what you're doing, perfect your process, like you were saying, so that you can get to that next level. So were there, how about for you, were there any frustrating moments in your process or any unexpected pieces of your process, and how did you deal with that?
absolutely. I've had tons of frustrating moments. I mean, shoot. I mean, whether if it was, hey, I need to pray, I need to go to YouTube, I need to. I mean, there's now I do have more of a secret sauce to even my leather now. Like when I first started, I always wanted to find ways to make my leather firm and to not just be flimsy leather. That was a journey. That was a process. That was me talking to people outside of my industry and in other industries to find out, hey, what can I put in between this leather to make sure that it's firm, that it just doesn't flop and fold? And so that was a couple of years of just trial and error. But I didn't give up on it. I knew that that would be a secret sauce and would set me apart if I could
Yeah.
find a way to actually make sure it was just in a way where I can create a shape and it would stay, that form would stay there. And leather itself doesn't want to do that. It just wants to be floppy, and it's skin, it is, nothing hard about skin. So that was a process for me and having to get over it. There's been several times of just, I think, I guess I'm still kind of millennial. I'm at the tail end of it. I'll be 40 this year. So with that, I think I'm blessed in a time where the older generation sometimes is a lot more frustrated with, technology and things like that. But I still have enough patience to say, okay, someone knows this. I always believe like what I'm looking for is looking for me. So
That's
what
good.
I'm looking for, I always feel like it's attainable. I can find it. It's just a matter of just knowing the right keywords, knowing the right thing to pray, knowing the right thing to put in Google, and bam, here's my answer. And so I have been blessed in that way, that I could say there hasn't been many challenges that I have full on pursued and said, I will not let this conquer me, that has conquered me, that I can say I walked away like, yes, I got its head, like it's on the mantle. I conquered that because I believe that there's answers out there, and we don't have to be stuck. Sometimes the answer is just open your mouth and speak to someone else who knows about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so many ways to get unstuck. And yeah, so there's definitely some areas that I probably feel like, I could probably be further in, but have I pursued it the way I pursue other things? Maybe not. But when I do, I know I'll have the answer.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent. I love your philosophy about, just being patient with yourself and being
Yeah.
patient with the process. I think that is just an amazing lesson. So, I guess just looking back on this part of looking back on your journey to this point, to where you are now, what would you say is one of your proudest accomplishments?
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta think about that. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. One of my most significant accomplishments, is that what you said?
Yeah, the most significant, or one that you were really excited about.
Yeah. Hmm, it's been so many things, Samantha. It's so hard to say. I mean, I think that one of the biggest accomplishments is just the resilience of staying with something,
That's good.
and not giving up. Because I mean, I could say, oh, this one thing was like so significant, but I don't kind of measure things in that way.
Mm,
I mean, if you ask me something very specific, like in what area, maybe I
yeah.
can tell you that. But like overall, if I can say, oh, a significant accomplishment would be the fact that I feel like I am where I'm supposed to be, and I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, and I haven't given up,
Yes.
and I've had resilience. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest accomplishments. I mean, outside of that, I can say, hey, there's so many things that I could name, but again, it would just be, rambling off lists of things. I mean, just like a bio, it's like how many things can you say? I
Right.
mean, I'm just proud of the life that God's blessed me to live, and I'm not where I'm gonna be, but I'm enjoying the journey as much as
Yes.
I humanly can enjoy the journey. I'm enjoying the journey, and it's times when I look back and I can say, wow, all these things were done, and it doesn't even feel like it was me, because again, I just was living authentically. I
Yeah.
wasn't living like, oh, I'm my boss, and all this. Like that wasn't and it still isn't me. It's just like, hey, those are the things I was supposed to do. These are the things, this is the life I'm called to live, and every step of the way, if I could see the path, I'm going to stay on it, and that's an accomplishment.
No, that's excellent. I love that answer. I love that answer. What advice would you give to any creative person, or really anyone who struggles with comparing themselves to other people?
That's good. Man, I mean, it just never really gets you anywhere, really, like, who hasn't, at sometimes just compared, for a moment, you're like, wow, okay, well, and if there's something good you can take from it, then that's great. But I mean, we're all so unique. We all have our own fingerprint. No one has the same retina of your eye. It's like, you're here, you're supposed to be here. And I think that realizing that no one is Samantha McCoy. Like no one is you, no one else is you. Like
Yeah.
that is your unique qualifier in every room, that there's only one Samantha, that it's like, why am I, and why would I compare? I think the beauty is just really appreciation.
Yes.
Then if we can get away from comparison to appreciation, that would be more beautiful, to if you see something you like, just say something. I want to give a compliment. I think that compliments um, squash comparison. It helps you to stay focused and say, wow, sis, well, wow, I'm so proud of what you're doing, and the accomplishments that you're doing in your business, and wow, how you're growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, like, how could you walk away from that and then feel like so mad at the person that you just big up? Because in your head, you're already bigging them up. You're already saying, wow, I want to be where they're at. So just give a compliment, and then leave it, leave it, and then take that compliment. And then if you need to take that same thing that you admired, and maybe take that into your prayer closet for yourself, to say, you know what, and now I want to see that for myself, Lord, or I so appreciate just, because here's the thing, everyone wants to be noticed for what they do. No matter what level you're at, you want to be noticed for what you do. So the person that you're noticing wants to be noticed for what they're doing. even if you want to be in their place, they want to be noticed. So it's like, just give a genuine compliment and keep it moving. Like, I mean, me sitting around comparing or thinking about anyone else who's doing anything creative is such a waste of time. But if I have the opportunity to be face to face or on an email or whatever, let me just do my part to say, let me give that person their flowers with hopes
Yeah.
that someone, when I get to that place, that they'll give me my flowers, and they'll be over me just as quick as I'm over me. Hopefully I'm over
Mm,
me as well, you know? So it's like, we just have to get over each other and get on to what God gave us.
yes.
Because I mean, like, I don't know, I just think that's such a waste of time. And again, we can do it and you can admire, but I just feel like, don't stay there for so long that it stifles your own purpose, your own plan, like what God is calling you to do. And here's another thing I wanted to say, and I feel like I should say it. I was supposed to
Yeah.
say it a little bit earlier, but you know, a lot of times we talk about like purpose. And I remember one of the things I had to be reminded of, because I didn't notice. I mean, you know, at the time when like the purpose driven life came out and everyone was talking about purpose and what is your purpose? What is your purpose? You know, so it's like you think about like I'm gonna do this particular thing. And so one of my past mentors through books, because I mean I had met him before, he said something. He said when basically like when your purpose is over, like it's the end of you. So like we
Mm,
shouldn't be so focused on I'm pursuing my purpose, like I got to be in my purpose, like that big thing that you see normally, that may be the end of your situation. So it's like, that's why enjoying the journey is so important, because that may
yes.
come and then there may be another purpose, who knows. Hopefully, you know, hopefully you only see a part of it because we only know in part. So your purpose in your mind may be to create this huge PR company that's going to globally help solve all these issues through effective communication, right? And that may be, wow, this is what I want to do. But what you don't know is that you may be 70 years old, 75 years old before it fully manifests. Maybe, maybe not. Or you may be 40 something years old and it manifests, and then you think that, oh, it's over, and then God gives you a whole nother purpose. So it's like,
Yeah.
we don't know what's at the end of that thing that we see. So it's like not being so anxious to feel like we have to finish it. Like, I don't want to have to feel like I have to be anxious to finish, because if I don't know the next step, all I can do is the step that I know. And if it
That's
hasn't
good.
manifest yet, it's because it's probably for a later, it's for a later purpose, or it's a little bit more in the distance. So why not just enjoy the journey?
That's excellent. That is excellent. Well, I think that is a great note to end on, Shauna. Thank you for all of your wisdom that
Thank
you have
you,
shared on
Samantha.
today's episode. And I am just so excited to know you, so excited for
Aw.
the journey and all that you have accomplished. So, where can, if people want to go to your site to purchase some of that lovely jewelry, where can they go?
They can go to www.lobe, that's Lobe dangle.com, lobedangle.com. And you'll see, for the most part, what I have in my collections. And yeah, it's all available. I'm local to Maryland. So, you know, if you want to arrange a drop off or something like that, we can do that as well. And then I will, you know, participate in certain shows throughout the year. So if you want to see me in person and see the leather, smell the leather, feel the leather, you can always do that as well. So I always post those things on like social media if you're ever looking to just kind of see me in person and see us in action.
Excellent. And where can we find you on social?
So I am everywhere Lobe Dangle. Or if you want to follow me specifically, it's on Instagram. It's Shuna Dawn, Shuna Dawn, Don, a name that one of my late girlfriends gave me. So Shuna Dawn on Instagram, or Lobe Dangle on Instagram. And also too, I am Qwishuna Smith on Facebook, and Lobe Dangle pretty much everywhere will lead you to me.
Excellent. Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today, Shauna. And I
Thank
am
you,
so
Samantha.
excited about what's next for you.
Yes, I'm excited for what's next for you as well. And not just what's next for you, what's now for you. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Keep pushing. We go back.
We do. We do. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank
This has been
you.
great.
Appreciate
Awesome.
you, Samantha.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Definitely feel free to check out Shauna's designs at lobedangle.com. And again, thank you all for joining us today. I am your host, Samantha McCoy, and I am the founder and CEO of Mission Key Communications. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at smccoyjoy. That is SMCCOY Joy. And you can also check out my website at missionkeycommunications.com. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.